With Daredevil on his way back, you know we had to build him because this is D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and stop driving the people in our lives insane with them. And if we want to build the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, aka the blind lawyer that fights crime in his spare time, we gotta start with the race. And I build way too many characters on this channel that are just humans or human variants. So, considering he's Daredevil and tries to make himself look like a devil most of the time, even if he's not under the costume, we're gonna lean into that and go with a Tiefling. Tieflings get some unique abilities, like Hellish resistance, giving them resistance to fire damage, they get some dark vision and some other basic stuff, but you can also choose a Tiefling Bloodline, and we're gonna go with the Bloodline of Asmodeus. This allows us to have an Infernal Legacy, granting us the cantrip Thaumaturgy, and once you reach 3rd level, you can cast the spell Hellish Rebuke once as a 2nd level spell, and once you hit 5th level, you can cast Darkness. And I like the idea of this because there's plenty of times where you try to use your ability to see without your eyes by knocking out all of the light in a room and making it your advantage. So having access to the Darkness spell is really helpful here. Then when it comes to a background, we're going to go with City Watch. This gives us skill proficiency in athletics and insight. And insight is especially useful because that's usually what you use to be able to tell that somebody's lying. And Daredevil's essentially a human lie detector because he can hear somebody's heartbeat and the slight changes when somebody's gonna lie. Then when it comes to some stats, we're definitely gonna be focusing a bit more on dexterity than strength, so we're gonna dump strength down to 8, then take our dexterity and bump it all the way to 15, and then get another +1 from the 1 point we have left over from our racial modifier, which we can allocate wherever we want thanks to Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Then we're gonna take our constitution, bring it to 14, so you can take a few hits because you need to be able to do that. Then we're gonna take that constitution, boost it by 1 more point thanks to the extra point we can put wherever we want, bringing it to 15, which I know is less useful, but don't worry, we'll get to that later. Then we'll take our intelligence, bring it to a baseline of 10. You did graduate from law school, so it takes a little bit of book smarts to do that. And then finally, we'll bring our wisdom up to 15 and bump it up 1 more time with 1 more racial point, bringing it to 16. That leaves us with no points left over, so we get to dump charisma. Then we get to choose a starting class, and we're gonna go with a fighter. And there's a very obvious reason for this, which I'll get to in just a second. Because first, when you choose to be a fighter, you get access to all armor, shields, all weapons, and you get saving throws in strength and constitution. You also get to choose 2 skills, so we'll grab perception because you are very perceptive despite being blind, and follow it up with acrobatics. Then at 1st level of fighter, you get to choose a fighting style, and this is why we went this route, because you get blind fighting, granting you blind sight with a range of 10 feet around you. Within that range, you can see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness or anything like that. And even if a creature is invisible, you can see them too, unless they're super good at hiding from you. Additionally, at 1st level of fighter, you get access to Second Wind. So as a bonus action, you can regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. Then at 2nd level of fighter, you get Action Surge. So you can take 2 actions on a single turn instead of just once, but you can only use this once per short or long rest. And I was super tempted to go straight to 3rd level in fighter and grab something like Echo Knight because you use something like Echo Location, and that would just be a fun play on words, but instead, at 3rd level, we're gonna do a multi-class. And with all that dexterity and wisdom, it's probably no surprise that we're gonna be diving into Monk. At 1st level of Monk, you get access to Unarmored defense, so as long as you aren't wearing armor, your armor class equals 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier. Additionally, at 1st level, you get access to martial arts. So now you can use your dexterity instead of strength attacks for any attack and damage rolls with unarmed strikes or anything that qualifies as a monk weapon, which is basically any simple weapons or short sword. Additionally, with martial arts, you can make unarmed strikes, and you can use a d4 for the damage dice, which also goes up as you level up in monk. And finally, as part of martial arts, when you take the attack action with an unarmed strike or monk weapon, you can make 1 unarmed strike as a bonus action just for free. Then at 2nd level of monk, you get access to Ki. The amount of Ki points you have is always going to be equal to the amount of levels you have in monk, and you can use them on things like Flurry of Blows, allowing you to attack twice as your bonus action instead of just once, Patient Defense, allowing you to take the dodge action as a bonus action, or Step of the Wind, allowing you to take the disengage or dash action as a bonus action, and your jump distance is doubled for the turn. Then the other thing you get at 2nd level of monk is unarmored movement, so you can move around much more quickly as long as you're not wearing any armor or a shield. Then at 3rd level of monk, we get to choose a monk subclass, otherwise known as a monastic tradition, and Daredevil doesn't get overly fancy with things, so we're going to go with one of the more basic monks and choose a Way of the Open Hand. When you choose this subclass, you get Open Hand Technique. So whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your Flurry of Blows, you can impose one effect of your choice. You can either force that creature to make a Dexterity saving throw or be knocked prone. You can force it to make a Strength saving throw, and if it fails, you push it 15 feet away from you, or you can just make it so it can't take reactions until the end of your next turn. Additionally, at 3rd level of Monk, you get Deflect Missiles, just to really drive bullseye crazy. So when you should be hit by a ranged weapon attack, you can reduce the damage by 1d10 plus your Dexterity modifier plus your Monk level. If you reduce it to 0 damage, you can actually catch it and throw it back at your enemy, spending 1 key point to do so. Then at 4th level of Monk, you get an ability score improvement. So let's just go ahead and boost up our dexterity by 2 points. Additionally, at 4th level of Monk, you get access to Slow Fall, so you can reduce any damage you would take from falling by up to 5 times your Monk level. Then at 5th level of Monk, you get access to Extra Attack, which is important for any sort of martial class. Additionally, at 5th level, you get access to Stunning Strike. You can see all those weak points in a body because you can hear where they are. So you can spend 1 key point to stun a creature, which is insanely powerful as long as it's used properly. And the other notable thing at 5th level is that your unarmed strikes now get upgraded from a 1d4 to a 1d6. And at 6th level of Monk, you can move a little faster because your unarmored movement gets boosted from 10 feet to 15 feet, and you get key empowered strikes. So now when you're punching people, it counts as magical, at least for overcoming some resistances. And you get another feature from your Way of the Open Hand, Wholeness of Body. So you gain the ability to heal yourself, and as an action, you can regain hit points equal to 3 times your Monk level. But you have to finish a long rest before you can do it again. And that, plus your second wind, means that you can regain a hell of a lot of hit points, even if it doesn't quite fit the character as much, unless there's something random in the comics where he can heal himself, which I wouldn't doubt because I can't read every comic in depth for every single video, because I'm cranking out videos as fast as I can. Then at 7th level of Monk, you get access to Evasion. So anytime you have to make a Dexterity saving throw to dodge some damage, you automatically take half damage, and if you succeed on that dex save, you take 0 damage. Additionally, at 7th level, you get access to Stillness of Mind, so you can use an action to immediately end any charmed or frightened effect on you, and considering you're the man without fear, I think that's pretty fitting. Then at 8th level of Monk, you get another ability score improvement, so let's go ahead and just max out that dexterity. Then at 9th level of Monk, you get a boost to your unarmored movement. And I know I had kind of neglected talking about it before, but Daredevil has this cool walking stick that he uses more of a beat stick, but it also has the ability to be kind of a grappling hook, and there's not a great way to achieve that similar idea in D&D. So we're going to do that using this boost to our unarmored movement, because at 9th level, you gain the ability to move along vertical surfaces. So instead of using that grappling hook, you just kind of run up the wall, and we're just going to have to roleplay it a bit. It also gives you the ability to run across liquids, but that part doesn't fit the character quite as much. Then at 10th level of Monk, your unarmored movement speed gets boosted from 15 feet to 20 feet, and you get Purity of Body, making you immune to disease and poison. Then at 11th level of Monk, your unarmed strike damage gets boosted from a 1d6 to a 1d8, and you get another feature from Way of the Open Hand, Tranquility. So at the end of a long rest, you gain the effect of the spell Sanctuary, basically warding you from anybody that would try to attack you directly. But you can try and play this up as the idea that when you're finishing a long rest, people are just assuming that you're just the normal blind guy and nobody wants to punch a blind guy. So it isn't until later that you wind up throwing on those devil horns and becoming Daredevil. Then at 12th level of Monk, we get another ability score improvement, but instead of just focusing on stats, we're going to take a feat, and we'll pick up Crusher. So once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals bludgeoning damage, which is every attack that you would do as Daredevil between your punches or hitting with your sticks, which are essentially just clubs, you can move that creature 5 feet away to an unoccupied space, and if you mix that in with your Way of the Open Hand and do a flurry of blows, you can also push them another 15 feet, really pushing them pretty far if you ever feel the need to do that. Additionally, this feat makes it so when you score a critical hit that deals bludgeoning damage, any attack rolls made against that creature until the start of your next turn are all made with advantage for you or any of your allies. And the last part of this feat actually does dive into our stats and boosts our constitution by 1 point, making it an even 16 and being far more useful. Then at 13th level of Monk, you get access to Tongue of the Sun and Moon, so you can understand pretty much all spoken languages. Then at 14th level of Monk, you get access to Diamond Soul, so you are now proficient in absolutely all saving throws, which is a very powerful feature to have. Then at 15th level of Monk, you get access to Timeless Body, so you can't be aged magically, which I don't know how much fits for Matt Murdock, but we're just going to keep it rolling. Then at 16th level of Monk, you get another ability score improvement. And frankly, I was a little tempted to pick up the feat Eldritch Adept, just to grab Devil's Sight, because I like that as an overall theme of the build, since you're Daredevil, and Devil's Sight would kind of work, but we already have Blind Sight, so I think we're just going to go ahead and boost up our Wisdom by 2 points. Then at 17th level of Monk, our unarmed strikes get boosted from a 1d8 to a 1d10, and we get one of the most powerful features of any Monk subclass, because Way of the Open Hand grants us Quivering Palm. Daredevil has the ability to sense vibrations in the ground, he has echolocation, and let's just say that he has the ability to set up lethal vibrations as well, because Quivering Palm makes it so when you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend 3 key points to start vibrations in their body. And you can use another action to force that creature to make a Constitution saving throw, and if it fails, it just dies. It's just an instant kill if you need that in your arsenal. And even if it succeeds on that Constitution saving throw, it still takes 10d10 necrotic damage, which is an absolutely insane amount of damage for a successful save. And the thing is, we already multi-classed into Fighter, and you have Action Surge. So if you wanted to, you could do this all in one turn, using that Quivering Palm when you're punching the crap out of some big boss like Kingpin, and then immediately follow it up with Action Surge, allowing you to activate that Quivering Palm and possibly killing your enemy. And we have 1 level left over, and you could take 1 more level in Monk, which would make it so you could essentially turn invisible and have resistance to pretty much all damage except force damage. But Daredevil's ability to turn invisible isn't really a thing, and he already has the ability to cast darkness and still be able to see in that darkness. So we're going to jump back over to Fighter and pick up a subclass, otherwise known as a Martial Archetype. And just to boost up the chance that you might crit on a few of those random punches that you're throwing out, which will really benefit with your Crusher feat, we're going to grab the Martial Archetype Champion. And by taking this subclass, you get improved critical. So now, with all of the punches that you can throw out there, all dealing bludgeoning damage and getting an additional boost from that Crusher feat, you can now score a critical hit on a 19 or a 20 instead of only a 20. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments down below, especially if there's anything that you would do differently. I figured since I already built Punisher, I might as well build Daredevil while I was at it, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. If you want access to the character sheet for this build or any of my other builds, or plenty of other benefits that I throw out there, feel free to check out my Patreon, linked in the description down below. Just like all of these incredible people, but especially my player character patrons, Alex, Bad in Person, Benjamin, Caleb Rowan, Isabel Walker, Jameson Jones, which totally sounds like a superhero alter ego, Carcat Kitsune, Keelan, Melendez Robinson, The Dino 21, Wyatt Newsom, Yaksha Senpai, and Zed13. Then going above and beyond all of that is my Dungeon Master level patrons that I actually play D&D with, which I stream right here on YouTube as well as over on Twitch. Daniel Galvin, Demiurge, Devin Happy, Eric Wade, GameSteak, Heyo, Kilo, Michael, Talon Starkey, Tristan Bennett, and Salvador. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to play as the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, while pretending you're nothing more than a blind lawyer, Daredevil, in Dungeons & Dragons.